The background of my videos is always a work in progress. Without further ado, let's just jump into it because otherwise I'm going to be futzing with things for the next 30 minutes and I don't got time for that. Sup nerds, welcome back to my channel. My name's Maddie. If you're new here, I hope your day's going well. And there's a bunch more of you here than usual. And I know a lot of you have been excited for this video. So let's just go ahead and get into it, shall we? Here's the thing, I don't typically take requests for rant reviews. Typically speaking, I go into books even with a general sense or knowledge that I may not like the book, with usually an open mind. I don't go into books specifically to hate them. Whereas with this book, I knew for a fact that I was going to have an interesting time, to say the least. Sometimes these rant reviews go swimmingly, other times YouTube demonetizes the video and puts a trigger warning in front of it, even though the video has a trigger warning within 30 seconds of the video. But it's okay, we're here, we're gonna have a good time. Now, if you want to support the channel in case any angry Alex Aster fans come and report my video for some reason, my Patreon is down below. Just a little plug. With that out of the way, let's keep going. Let's talk about the Sky Pigeon book, which is my pet name for Light Lark by Alex Aster. If you do not know what Light Lark is, or who Alex Aster is, I am so jealous of you. For a minute there, every fucking feed of mine, Twitter, TikTok, not Instagram, because God love Bookstagram, but there are absolutely no interesting discussions happening on that app. But every single feed otherwise was just video after TikTok after a tweet about Alex Aster and how she lied about this book and how terrible this book is written. Now, here's the thing, I am a longtime user of book Twitter. I am used to the subtweet threads that you have to go down 6 threads deep to finally just DM someone for the tea. And when this particular situation happened, it was a barrage of nonsense so quickly that I just got lazy and I DM'd my good friend Rachel over at Reads with Rachel for what was going on, and she quite succinctly sent me her unposted video literally on Alex Aster and her background and kind of the controversy that this book caused before it was even released, to my knowledge. Here's the thing, if you are looking for information on Alex Aster, I would just recommend going and checking out Rachel's video. I do not have the time to go into that woman's life background, but honestly, I do have opinions about calling her a nepotism baby. I do think that that term is being used incorrectly. I don't give a single fuck who her parents are. I truly don't care about her as a person. I'm just going to be reviewing the book that she wrote. I almost feel a little bit bad considering how badly the publishing was handled for this book in general, and I do hope that she's handling it okay. It basically got down to the fact that this controversy got so out of control and the reviews were flooding in from outside of the book community that I knew I was gonna probably read this book. And then 3 of y'all actually asked me for this video, so here we are, I'm making the video. That being said, if you liked this book, I don't care at all what you say. This is your warning to leave this video, okay? It's like when people say spoiler warnings, mine is, I'm going to now hate on a book, please leave. Okay, so with Sky Pigeon, I read the whole thing and at no part did I feel like I was actually understanding a singular thing that was happening in the book. And as you may have known if you're on my channel at all, I'm not going to try and deduce what an author is trying to put together. If I can't get it, I'm not going to try harder, if that makes sense. This book felt like a Teletubby was trying to, by memory, explain the entire premise of A Court of Thorns and Roses, but got confused and suddenly spliced it with the Hunger Games halfway through. Now, the one prop that I will give this book, because I have been reading absolute garbage recently, is it at least seems to have gone through a Grammarly edit. There wasn't a bunch of spelling mistakes. Most of the sentences were fragments, but at least they were sentences. That's good, I guess. And to be honest, when I was reading this book, it actually felt like a little bit of a respite from all of the self-published trash that I've been reading, where it's clear that most of the authors don't believe in the rules of the English language most of the time. That is where my compliments end. Everything else about this book is a big yikes, to be honest. It's clear that at some point the purple prose that this book was written in was just allowed to get past any competent editor. I don't know if there is any competent editors still in publishing at this point, because when reading upon this book, as someone who reads a fair amount of fantasy, and even YA fantasy at that, a lot of it was just confusing and strangely written at all. Like, I don't get it. On top of that, the first people that figured out this book was badly written was Book Talk, and not to shit on that community, but that community also revitalized Colleen Hoover's career, so their taste might not be, I don't know, good. All right, so I've wasted enough time not talking about the actual book. I guess we should talk about the plot. This book is about Feyre. Poppy. Checks notes. Isla? She has a magic star stick. I have a magic star stick. She's not special. Oh, hers takes her to like other realms? Where'd she get that? Adam and Eve? Look, I was trying to be advertiser friendly. I don't think we're gonna make it. Moving right along. So she has a star stick and she can teleport to other realms, kingdoms, whatever. But on her island, she's locked in a box, but she's the ruler of this realm, so to speak. Also, all of the people on this world, in this world, are proper noun ending in ling, like wild ling, star ling. I'm just gonna say I want supremacy over the bitch ling category. I think that should be arranged. Isla here is the ruler of the wildling group, and everyone's cursed, but her technique to ruling the country is to just like not rule, which I'm not quite sure exactly how that works. I only took a few years of remedial, school education to know that ruling a country by not ruling a country doesn't usually work. Like, let's take a look at Elon right now. He's not doing so hot either. So because reasons, we have to fuck off and go to some royal game, which is called the Centennial, which I'm gonna be real with you. The Centennial is like a street here in Vegas, and every time that it's mentioned, I just kind of think of a suburban neighborhood, and I could never take it seriously. I was just like, oh yeah, in the northwest part of town. You go play those games and trials and shit. I just couldn't get it. If you're from Vegas, you know. This game, tournament, event, thing, whatever, is supposed to be able to give people power to like break the curses, because everyone apparently has a curse. What those curses are, couldn't tell you. They were vague as shit, and I couldn't give a fuck to understand them at all. And it's also clear to me that not a person that worked on this book thought to be like, maybe we should make that a little bit more understandable. Nah, they skipped right past that shit. Everyone who's read a YA book in the last 12 years has heard of curses, so I guess we just have to infer that this has something to do with consequences, because it's a curse, but what are those consequences? Who gives a fuck? Which, once again, this leads me to believe that the editing of this book was pretty much lackluster, and I do think that all of the marketing was put on Alex and her TikTok account. Which, here's the thing, if you give a non-professional person, especially a younger person, control of marketing on an app like TikTok, you have a prime situation where the person is probably going to lie about her book. TikTok, to me, seemingly has the most interesting parasocial relationships with content creators, and it also breeds lies so well. I don't know why she would say that there were tropes in this book that there weren't, or that she was a debut author when she wasn't, but to me, it's very clear that the publishing of this book really came down to the fact that the author seemingly was in charge of her own marketing, and she shot herself in her own foot. It is very clear to me that whoever published this book didn't care about editing it, didn't care about making it any seemingly viable product, and then they let their young author market it on TikTok and lie about what was in it, and then it blew up in their face, which is, I don't know. That's my deduction at this point about why Light Lark is a trash fire. I almost gotta admire the hustle, but like at the same time, it's still fucked up. So because this is Court of Thorns and Roses, but sped up to 100, we meet our love interest on page 8. Maybe flesh out the world first? Give me a little bit of context? Nope, we gotta meet Discount Resand, whose name is Grim, which is pretty apt because every time this man came on the page, my face looked like this. Grimm is from a realm of nightshades, which you have to know is mysterious as all hell, and also people are prejudiced against them because their last name doesn't end with ling. They're not like a wildling, starling, night. I'm being facetious. We're moving on. It's also very clear that this book did not have any idea of how to weave this character in because he kind of just shows up and then disappears and then shows up again. Like at some point he's in the character's room, very Edward Cullen-y, watching her sleep. But I am getting ahead of myself here. Isla has her first night at wherever the hell the games are held, the royal court or whatever, and she's in her room and she goes out to the balcony and bitch falls off. But not to her death, YouTube. Okay? She falls off the balcony and then she wakes up on the shoreline or something and has the audacity to be offended by how whoever rescued her from dropping to her death rescued her and then just left her there. Like she literally has notes for whoever saved her because they should have stuck around to make sure she was okay, which, let's be real, honey, you took a nosedive off of a balcony. Not because anyone pushed you, by the way, just because you're Bella Swan klutzy, and you wanted people to just hang out until you were okay. You should be thanking your lucky stars you're not dead. Moving on. But additionally to being a grade A klutz, Isla is also useless. She has no powers. What were her powers supposed to be? I think eating hearts? I don't know. I read the whole book and I'm still very confused. But the biggest thing about Isla is that she is not special. She has no powers. Do you see where I'm going with this? Main character, not like other girls. Energy here. So she's very nervous about this game and people finding out that she has no powers. Because that's a big deal. Apparently. Everyone else has powers. What are those powers? I don't know. I don't care. It's also clear that you don't need to have powers to win the Centennial because she seemingly does a decent job at the trials every time she's pretending to have powers, you know what I'm saying? Once again, I don't know what the Centennial's point is. It doesn't mean that you get to be the ruler of all the realms because there already is a ruler. He's a king. His name is Oro. I thought he looked like the Burger King king. And to my deep surprise and chagrin, he's actually our second love interest. Isla spends most of the book with him. So most of the book, I'm imagining her wandering around with the fucking Burger King king. And then at the end of the book, they like each other, I guess? I don't know. It's very confusing. Here's the other thing too, is that they don't have any witty banter. They don't have any character development. They never at any point really get to know each other, but I'm supposed to think that this 500-year-old immortal king is a viable love interest. The rest of the characters are incredibly two-dimensional and shoehorned in. We have Celeste? Yes, Celeste. We have Celeste, who is Isla's best friend, who Isla discovered after using her star stick to drop into this random person's room when they were kids, but technically they weren't kids because, oh, by the way, Celeste is the bad guy, which wasn't telegraphed, but whatever, moving on. Cleo, who is the resident head bitch in charge, who happens to be the girl that hates Isla for no apparent reason. But also, Cleo happens to be the only ruler that seemingly gives a shit about her people. And when Isla finds out about this, she legitimately asks, oh, doesn't she have hobbies? Doesn't she have a partner? As if for some reason Cleo's attachment to her people is somehow like not attractive. It was very strange to me. I was like, okay, yes, ruling a country is like a job, but you should also, I don't know, care about the job? Like, that makes no sense. Like, we don't see Isla doing anything in association to ruling her country, her vassal state. I don't know what the economy is like in Light Lark, but it's very clear no thought processes were put into the design of this world whatsoever. There's also a guy named Azul. He's there. I don't remember anything about him at this point. The thing about this particular book is that the more and more I see influence from Sarah J. Maas on YA books in general, I get more and more frustrated because books like this manage to make Sarah J. Maas look like a very good writer. Here's the thing, I typically enjoy the process of mindlessly reading a Sarah J. Maas novel. I don't begrudge people for liking Sarah J. Maas books, even though my channel may dissuade people from that concept. I just typically really hate her endings. Her endings are always trash fire. But books like this leads me to believe that there are people in publishing right now that hear certain tropes and just hit publish, almost like kind of like the self-publishing problems we're having right now as well. Like, this story here doesn't make any sense. It's like as if someone was trying to write this story in a bar while intoxicated, writing the story and throwing darts at a board with plot elements on it while also still trying to write the book at the same time. Why? Like, the Nightshade curse apparently is they can't feel the energy and calm of the night. What does that mean? Please, someone explain. Is there consequences of that? I don't understand. Grimm apparently has shadow powers, and to me that would imply that they probably have the control of the night themselves. Like, I just anger. Back to the plot, I guess. So Celeste tells Isla that they need a bond breaker to break the curses, I guess, which is just a bunch of scenes of Isla breaking into the restricted section at Hogwarts for some reason. Because Isla loves books. They don't seem to be connected at all. And apparently this doohickey whatchamacallit is supposedly in a library, I guess? I'm not quite sure. And if that wasn't fascinating enough, Oro picks Isla to be his running mate? I'm not exactly sure. His partner in the games. And then he tells her that they need to go in search of the heart of the realm. And then it becomes a story about Oro and Isla going on a search for the heart of Te Fiti. You will board my boat and we will find no plot elements that make any fucking sense anywhere in this book. And let me be real with you, it definitely feels like that would be above Isla's pay grade at some point. It just seemed like way too much work. Like, I don't understand why Oro, the king, couldn't have found somebody else to help him with this. And there's at least 3 or 4 scenes that just like have no connection to the plot at all. Oro manages to get Isla possessed by a ghost. What happens during that time? Couldn't tell you. Isla gets kidnapped by 3 winged dudes who were definitely not discount Azrael and Cassian. Nothing happens from that either, if you were wondering. There's also 3 popsicle oracle ladies who, once again, no emphasis on the plot. Nothing. Just random scenes that are there for maybe a vibe, but they literally have nothing to do with what's happening in the story at all. There's also a scene when they're looking for the heart where she has to open these things called purse plants. And let me just read you this line. It says, purse plants opened when their tops are stroked. I'm advertiser friendly, I swear. I do love the prose that this is written in because it definitely feels like someone really likes colorful writing, but has the vocabulary of a 9th grader. Not that that's bad, but like, it's just strange when you're trying to enact really flowery writing and you can't seemingly come up with the words to describe what you're trying to describe. Like, there's this part where Isla is talking to a man and it says, more moments pass by, cartwheeling between them. Who the fuck wrote this? Who wrote that line and was like, yep, that's great. And then who else read this book and went, yeah, that's great, because multiple people read books before they're published. Who let this happen? That's my question. Because it wasn't just Alex Astor's fault. Let's be quite real. It's been a minute since I've read this script, so I keep laughing at things that are coming up. And then halfway through the book, there's this new thing introduced called flair. And I could not think of anything other than the scene about from Office Space where, where's your flair? Where's your flair? Oh my gosh, because I don't think Isla has a flair. But it's like a special power. It really felt like all of the truly shittiest parts of the last decade of YA books was put into a blender, smoothied up, and just turned into cringe, and then I drank the whole thing. Why? So Isla tells Oro that she has no powers, and he immediately turns around and tells Cleo, the girl that doesn't like her, right? And now the Centennial is not just the Centennial, but it's the Centennial, but also the Purge. Killing is on the table, if you know what I mean. Which would be cool if anyone fucking died. Some random shopkeeper dies, but I didn't care about them, so no one fucking dies. So Isla is like, I'm a dead woman. And she goes and she just hangs out by herself. And Celeste, her friend, right, is like, why are you moping? And Isla's like, I'm in mortal danger, which is weird because neither one of them are acting like they're in mortal danger at all. Like, Isla is literally moping. She's not running for her life. She's just chilling. So The tensions don't make sense. Once again, Isla exhibits the most basic, dumb main character energy, and she chases after Cleo in like a snowstorm. And oh, by the way, Cleo's power is like ice. And Cleo is like, you do know that I'm overpowered, right? And Isla's like, yeah, but you're mean. And then Cleo leaves her to die in the snow, but of course that would be really impolite of her to actually die because she's the main character of the story. So she doesn't die, but her and Uro go to a party and she gets drunk, I guess? I don't know. At this point, the entire plotline is just derailed completely. So they go to a party and like she falls asleep because she's drunk on his lap, and then he also falls asleep, and then they have to go take a bath for some reason, and she takes off her clothes, but not all of her clothes. She has a second layer underneath of a tank top and high-rise shorts, which is weird to me because in a medieval fantasy setting, I don't typically think women are running around in Lululemon sets. On top of that, she still feels naked under his gaze, which to me is very strange because she does have sex with Grimm, like 3 chapters later. The purity culture in this book is also weird. Like, it's just everything is strange here. Just a little bit of research would have been great to have period accurate historical clothing, or like at least immersive storytelling clothing. But no, I'm wearing a tank top and high-waisted pants. I must be so naked. What? So they attack somebody, and Isla's, oh, by the way, I'm a mutant ninja turtle, and she likes throwing stars at people. Graham professes his love to her, like you do. He basically says, any piece of you for all of me, like she's a broken down Honda Civic. He continues to say, late at night, I ache for you. I'm always aching for you. And homie, you need to get that checked out. That's not right. That might be a problem. And as I said, they have sex. Celeste betrays everybody. Yada yada. We have this big showdown where they're all captured by Celeste, who happens to also be a 500-year-old witch, which is weird because I thought Isla and her were friends when they were kids, but apparently Celeste has been a grown woman this whole time. And once again, it's very impolite to kill off the main character, so Isla gets away using her fancy-dancy star stick that Celeste, by the way, is completely aware of. And then Isla immediately comes back. Celeste, being the bad guy, is like, why would you come back? You escaped. And some hooty-daddy happens, and they win, I guess. And also, by the way, Uro and Isla are in love. What? At least Isla likes him, which is weird because at this point I still thought of him as the Burger King. I was just like, wait, we like Uro? Why? I'm confused. Convoluted as fuck. The state of YA is pretty tragic right now. I know I am not the target demographic for a book like this, but I do know that the target demographic for the book like this probably didn't like this book, and I don't think that it's probably getting picked up for a sequel. If they are going to, it's only because they're going to be riding the wave of controversy that Alex Astor started. Do I blame her or hold her accountable for the entirety of it? No, because I think that if she had an actually adept publishing team, this book would not look like this. And I don't know what's happening in publishing right now, but damn, y'all need to get your shit together. Like, this is embarrassing for everyone involved, and that's what I believe, honestly. This is probably one of my more hateful videos on the channel, but I am frustrated because this particular situation only happened because of a large amount of negligence on the part of the publisher, because I don't know what Alex Astor's career is going to look like. And there are aspects of this book that really could have been good if someone had just told her, write it again, Skippy. Like, just write it again. Just continue working on your craft. Ask people to read your craft multiple times. And don't just take your friend's word for it that it's good. Okay? All right, guys. That's gonna be it. I'm gonna go. Like, subscribe, all the good stuff. Bye!